Hey guys, welcome to Square 64. Today we are going forth with our chess opening series. Today this video is about the advanced variation of the French defense, the main line number 1. Now, before we start watching this video, if you lack basic knowledge in the French defense, I would suggest you to click on that I button to go back to the video that I made on the French defense. That is the introduction video. Watch that one first and only then come back to this one to learn in depth about the French defense advanced variation mainline number 1. So without wasting any more time, let's head straight into it. So it of course starts with the moves e4, e6, d4, d5, and here white plays the move e5, advancing the e pawn and gaining the space, thus entering the lines of the French defense advanced variation. Here, black immediately plays the move c3. With this move, black begins the traditional assault on the base of the pawn chain, that is d4. It is this point that is the usual black target in the early going. Now the reason why black plays c3 attacking the base, not f6 attacking the top, is this. Let's use a military analogy here. If we wished to sap a building, let's say the building is this pawn structure here. If we wished to sap a building, we should not begin with the architectural ornaments. We should blow up its foundations, for then the destructions of the ornaments with all of the rest will automatically follow. For this reason, black plays the move c5 immediately. Now, white has little option here, has to play the move c3 to protect the base. Black attacks it again with the move knight to c6, and white defends it again with the move knight to f3. Since black's attention should be directed against the center here, his queen usually ends up on the b6 square. However, the move queen to a5 may seem interesting because it prepares the move c takes d4. Because here white cannot capture this pawn with the c pawn because this c pawn is pinned to the king. But here the idea d takes c5 is very effective, because after the move bishop takes c5, b4 runs into a pawn fork and black is losing a piece here, because it doesn't matter what black does, black will be a piece down. Because here, if black doesn't want to move either the queen or the bishop, black has to capture this pawn with this knight and the knight will be lost. So that's why the best move here in this position is to play the move queen to b6. Here white of course plays the move bishop to e2, preparing for the castle and also developing the bishop. In this position, black has some serious choices to make. Here black can always play the move c takes d4, but that line will be covered in the next video. Here we're going to see theoretical main lines. Here the first option for black is to play the move knight g to e7, developing the knight and also preparing to attack the d4 square. Here, if white decides to be brave, then the d pawn dies under the most tragic circumstances. Let's see what happens if white castles. So, castles. Here c takes d4, and after c takes d4, knight to f5, just too many attacks on the d4 square. And now knight takes, knight takes, knight takes again, queen can't take, because queen takes queen, white would lose the d4 pawn. So much for the bravery. But here the move knight g to e7 is inexact, because it allows us to use the Sveshnikov strategy under optimum conditions. White simply plays the move d takes c5. Here, if black recaptures with the queen, then white gains too much time. Let's see what happens. Queen takes c5, then b4, queen to b6, and now b5. And after that, white will play bishop to a3, and that's too much development for white and very good position. So after the move d takes c5, the best move for black would be to play queen to c7. Now here, this makes it a particularly good version of the d takes c5 strategy, is that black cannot immediately recapture on c5 with this bishop because it's blocked. Here, white simply plays the move knight to d4. The threat is to play knight to b5. Now here, if black tries to play the move knight takes e5, the position is immediately lost, because after knight takes e5, knight to b5, queen takes c5, and queen to d4, it's too much initiative for white. Now after the move knight to d4, black's best move would be queen takes e5, and here white simply castles. Now in this position, if black just had the benefit of 3 or 4 free moves, namely queen to c7, knight to g6, and then e6 to e5, he would have a fine game. But in a semi-open position, the absence of those moves is bound to cost. Now here the move sets knight to g6, b4, bishop to e7, f4, queen to c7, f5, or knight to f5, knight takes f5, queen takes f5, b4 offer white excellent prospects. After the move bishop to e2, black could also play the move bishop to d7. This move enables black to mobilize his queenside pieces quickly with rook to c8 or even queenside castle. Now here, black could avoid much of this white piece activity by playing c takes d4, c takes d4 first. Then rook to c8 looks dangerous, but knight to c3 plugs up the c file just in time. But white, with knight to a4, then knight to c5 and a3 followed by b4 b5 has equally promising chances on the queen side. Also note that on c takes d4, c takes d4, knight g to e7, knight to c3, knight to f5, we have a position reminiscent of our main line. However, this insertion of bishop to d7 has cost black a useful tempo. And now white can beat off the attack on d4 by playing knight to a4, queen to a5, bishop to d2, bishop to b4, bishop takes b4, knight takes b4, knight to c5, or here queen to d8, bishop to e3, bishop to e7, and rook c1. So that's why here black castles queenside. Now knight to a3, c takes d4, c takes d4, and king to b8. Black here anticipates an attack along the c file. Knight to c2, maneuvering the knight, rook to c8, and here rook to b1. And white gets to push the b pawn without dissolving the center. After the move bishop to e2, black could also play the move f6. This indicates a mixed signal from black. He's attacking d4 with his 5th move, then shifts to e5 with his 6th. Here white could just take the f6 pawn, that'll give his knight a good outpost, but after knight takes f6 and bishop to d6, black could castle easily, and white should make black work for his king safety. So here, instead of taking the f6 pawn, black just simply castles. So after that, f takes e5, knight takes e5, knight takes e5, the exchange is pretty much forced, d takes e5, bishop to d7, and c4. This idea has been attributed to Igor Zaystev, longtime second to Anatoly Karpov, who first played this in 1977 in a similar position. With the queen somewhat misplaced on b6, black is unable after c4 properly defend the attacked d-pawn. In this position, before Zaitsev, white would reinforce e5 with moves such as knight to d2, knight to e7, knight to f3, knight to c6. From there, the game between Medianiakova and Shivurdanidze went like queen to c2, bishop to e7, bishop to f4, castles queenside, and then b4 with good attacking chances. After c4, black must make some concession in the center. Clearly, d takes c4 will leave this e6 pawn as a cripple, but after d4, knight to d2 and knight to e4, white has excellent prospects. Similarly, knight to e7, knight to c3, bishop to c6, bishop to g4 is also very good for white. In our last variation after bishop to e2, black plays knight to h6. This odd-looking move has been the subject of considerable analysis because of the sacrificial possibility of bishop takes h6, queen takes b2, bishop to e3, queen takes a1, queen to c2. And here the black queen is trapped. But here white chooses to play the move bishop to d3, a surprising move. This line is called the Fishbein variation. Here, white loses a tempo with the bishop in order to meet c takes d4, c takes d4, knight to f5, bishop takes f5. However, the loss of time is not that serious because of the semi-closed nature of the position and black's inability to exploit any open lines immediately. Here, knight takes d4 of course loses a piece because after knight takes d4, queen takes d4 and bishop to b5 check, black simply loses the queen here. Another key point in this Fishbein variation is revealed after the move bishop to d7. Bishop to d7 is threatening the move knight takes d4. So white plays the move bishop to c2, knight to b4, bishop takes h6, g takes h6 and castles. After which white, turning over both of his bishops for the knights, will obtain a solid center and attacking chances on both wings. Also note that here after black plays bishop to d7 and then bishop to c2, knight to f5 and bishop takes f5 and after that e takes f5, black would have gained a tempo in our main line. But since black is virtually committed to defending his d5 and f7 points by the way of bishop to e6, this tempo will be lost back and we will transpose exactly back into the main line. But here the main move is knight to f5 and then bishop takes f5, the entire point of white's play. Now e takes f5, castles, bishop to e6, knight to c3. An important benefit of white's play is that now the knight is on the c3 square. From here the knight can go to the a3 square and also to the f4 square via the route of e2 and then to f4. Here black plays the move h6 to prevent knight to g5 as well as preparing his own g5 move. Here white plays the move h4, a typical restrictive move to hold up black on the king side and to prepare knight to e2, f4. Now if bishop to e7, knight to e2 and castles queenside, white should not encourage knight to f4, g5. Instead of that, white should play rook to b1 and b4, even as a pawn sacrifice to break black's structure on the queen side. So that's it guys. I hoped you liked this video, and if you did, like, comment and subscribe. and become an awesome member of our Square 64 community. And as always, stay safe, stay in your homes, and keep on playing chess. Goodbye.